Hi, it's Debbie Sementelli again in another episode of The Love Story That Inspired a Font. In this part, we're going to talk about the planning and execution of the wedding. What could go wrong? So let's start with the ring. I happen to know somebody who worked in the diamond industry, and I was able to get a diamond at cost. And that company was supposed to also create a setting that I had custom designed. And all of a sudden, it's like 2 weeks before the wedding, and my friend no longer works there. And basically, they tell me, yeah, we didn't do it, and we're just going to put that diamond in whatever setting that we have, and too bad. So I'm like, okay, whatever, rings are not that important, so just going to let that go. So then we go back to Pennsylvania. We got married in Erie, Pennsylvania, in the same church that our parents got married in. We were both baptized in that church. Anyway, so we're back in Erie, Pennsylvania, a week before the wedding, and I get a call from a friend who is going to be in the wedding. Now, later on, I found out she was going through a very difficult situation in her life, so it's all good. But at the time, to get a call a week before your wedding, and the bridesmaid says, I really don't like the dress and I don't want to wear it. Can I wear my own dress to the wedding? No. Okay, can I wear the dress to the church but then change into my own dress at the reception? No. So finally I just said, look, if you don't want to be in the wedding, like, it's all good. Don't worry about it. I'll find someone else who can fit into a size 2. Bridesmaid coming in from another state, and I'm picking her up from the airport. This is right before the rehearsal dinner. So literally on the drive back, she tells me, oh yeah, the dress, I got the dress that you sent me. I just never really got to take it to a tailor, have it altered. Can do you have somebody here? Oh, it's okay. Well, all right. The other girl who had eventually agreed to be in the wedding, I had sent her to the woman that tailored my dress, my wedding dress. So I'm like, let's see if tomorrow morning, the day of my wedding, she might be available to help with that. So luckily she was, and luckily we got married at 6 p.m. at night. So, okay, got that problem solved. Now, a little advanced information about the venue. So in Erie, Pennsylvania, at the time, there were not a lot of really nice hotels that you could have an event at. And the ones that were there were, you couldn't bring in your own catering. Luckily, Michael's cousin was at the time the best caterer in the city, Italian. So he was willing to cater, but we had to find a venue that where he could bring in his food. So Michael's aunt happened to work at a church that had a school that had a, one of those, I don't know what you call them, gymatorium. Is like the combination of a gymnasium and an auditorium. It's a match made in heaven. So we booked for $50 the gymatorium. Okay, now we're getting to the church, and ceremony goes great. And afterwards, the photographer says, let's take a picture outside the church doors, because I had told them both of our parents who had been married in that church had pictures outside the church doors. But it's raining, but it had stopped raining. Okay, all good. So I'm kind of trying to hold up the back of my dress and kind of mismanaged that and dropped it into a puddle of water. The back of my dress is now all wet, and we are off to the reception to sweep that dress along the floor of a gymatorium. So we have 375 people there. And a little story about that. So of those 375, 75 were my family and Michael and my friends. 300 were my mother-in-law and father-in-law's family and friends and people that came into the Italian deli that his family owned. And she was so excited about our wedding that she kept telling everybody in the city and inviting everybody in the city. So we're talking about feeding 375 people. And so I said to Michael, you might want to chat with your mom about that. My mother-in-law assured us that she was going to tell people to give us the boost. So that was lovely, except out of the 300 that came from her side, probably about 100 were people, little old ladies especially, on Social Security. So, you know, bless their hearts, the most that they could do is give us like $5. Now, luckily, Michael's cousin, the caterer, was kind enough to give us his price, like wholesale price. He did not make a dime. So we get to the reception with my wet wedding dress, 375 people drinking at the open bar, and they run out of glasses. And this is probably the only time I've ever seen my father-in-law upset. And he had to send somebody out to go to the store and buy plastic cups. So we had a videographer, and I noticed that there's some guy coming up to Michael during the wedding and whispering something in his ear, and Michael looks kind of annoyed and upset, like, seriously, you're asking me this now? So I asked him about it. He was shaking him down for $5,000 because apparently he had a gambling debt that he needed to pay. And I think he'd seen too much of The Godfather, where the Don can't refuse somebody on the day of their daughter's wedding. I think he got that confused with us. So, okay, so last thing, we're dancing. There's lots of dancing going on, which was fantastic. The traditional tarantella, which is an Italian dance, and then the chicken dance. And so I always love to dance. So I'm on the dance floor the whole time pretty much. And I'm in the middle, you know, of everybody and sweating, and the photographer decides, oh, we forgot to get a picture of you and Michael with his parents. So he pulls me out of the circle and lines me up with my in-laws and Michael. And as he's taking the picture, I'm feeling the drops of sweat coming down and dropping off of my nose. As it turned out, you couldn't see the drops, but there was a glistening on my face. So, why was this the perfect day? Well, let me relate it to today. There are guys working on my roof and my patio because in June, 8 months ago, we had a storm come through and those things were destroyed. And now there have been only these few days where it hasn't been raining, and they are here. So there's lots of noise going on. But here's the point. The wedding, today, that's what life is. Nothing is ever perfect. If you wait for things to be perfect, you're going to be waiting a long time, and you're going to miss all of the joy and the love that comes from accepting all the imperfections. It took me a long time. I had to write down all the things that went wrong that day because all I remember was I married the right person, and all the people that I love were there with me, along with 100 little old ladies on Social Security. So it was perfect. Best wedding day ever.